I'm going to walk you guys through the Everyday Home Repairs Maintenance Checklist. This is a one-pager that's broke up in 3 different sections. And those sections are according to the frequency for which you're going to be performing these checks or maintenance items. We start off with monthly. Here, that's going to be your most frequent items. Then we go into the largest column here, which is seasonally, or every 3 months. Now it's going to be spring, summer, fall, winter. And I'm in an area where we have 4 seasons, so this kind of favors more of a Midwestern or a 4-season location. Just understand, if you're in the Southwest, hot, dry, there's probably going to be a few things that you're going to have to adjust because you could have some different systems within your home. And then finally, the yearly items. Those are things that you're usually checking to make sure you don't get yourself in trouble, where you might have a leak in the basement and your sump pump isn't working, and that can lead to large insurance claims or damage that you're going to have to pay out of your pocket. Now you can look down below this video in the timeline, and it's going to be broken up into that monthly. Then we'll go into spring, summer, fall, winter, and finally yearly. So you can jump to the part you want. Maybe you just want to look at the stuff coming up in the spring. That's fine. You can bookmark this video for future reference. And then at the end, I will show you where you can go and download this one-pager so you can hang it on the fridge just as an easy reminder of the things you should be doing around the house. All right, so let's start off with the monthly items. I'm just going to go through, give you a little bit more information and context, because obviously with just small one-liners, you can't fit that much information into it. So starting off with monthly, safety item, checking your smoke and CO detectors. You want to go through and do the test button to make sure they're functioning, make sure you have batteries in them, even if they're hardwired, that your battery backup is there, and also make sure they're not expired. Remember, they have a shelf life. So if you have 15-year-old smoke detectors, it's time to change them. Test your GFCI outlets. These are going to be in your wet areas of the home. Think bathroom, kitchen, garage. They have the test and reset buttons. So you can either test them by hitting the test button, and it should click and trip and shut off the power to that outlet. And then you can press the reset. It should hold a reset, and then your power is back on. Alternatively, if you have an outlet tester like this one from Klein Tools, that button in the middle is a GFCI tester. So you could plug this in, trip that. It's going to trip your GFCI if it's working properly, and then you hit that reset and turn the power back on to that receptacle. And then the last monthly item is checking under your kitchen sink or in your bathroom vanities. A lot of people pack a ton of stuff in there, and if you have a slow water leak over time, if you're not actively checking that, you might miss that for months or even longer. It could be deteriorating your cabinet, your subfloor, and causing a lot more damage. So something to check, and maybe all that's needed is you just to tighten up the nut on the P-trap to avoid a leak. Usually a very easy fix, but something that if gone unchecked can cause a lot of damage, especially in rental units. That's kind of a classic for rental units. Now going into seasonal, starting with spring, replace furnace filters. Every 3 months you should be replacing your furnace filter. Now this is assuming that you have a forced air furnace or furnace/AC, a central air unit, and that you're using it at a normal frequency. If you barely ever use it, well, your filter is probably not getting exercised too much, and you can probably extend that out. In the spring, I like to wash the outside of my house, especially if you have vinyl siding. In my area, you can get some algae growth and kind of build up on that. If gone unchecked, it kind of gets out of control in a hurry. Then repair and replace any damaged screens. This is easier than you expect. Now, in the description below this, I'll link out some of these additional videos I have on my channel that would help you with this, such as I have one on rescreening your window screens. In the spring is when I'm putting down new mulch in the flower beds. Now, if you've been doing bags in the past from Home Depot or Lowe's, just know you might want to call a local landscape center and get a yard or 2 or 3 or more dropped off. Often it's cheaper and a lot more convenient to you because it gets delivered right to your home, and then you can go right to work. And then in the spring is a good time as any to check all the caulk lines in your bathroom, in your kitchen, see if you need to clean those off and re-caulk just to make sure it's watertight and you don't have mildew or mold buildup. So that's it for spring. spring, now going on to summer. Again, we're going to replace that furnace filter. That will be in every one of these seasonal items. This is a good time to clean and stain your deck, and that's assuming you have a deck with pressure treated wood. Remove lint from your dryer vent. Now this is where you want to go outside and from the inside, making sure the rigid pipe or flexible hose is cleaned out of all lint. This can really build up, and that is a fire hazard. That's something you need to be careful on, because obviously lint itself is extremely flammable. And then this is a classic for rental units and some homes too that I've toured, and that's just tightening up the blades on your ceiling fans. You're probably going to be using those quite a bit in the summer, so just take a Phillips head screwdriver or tighten those up so they aren't drooping from your fan. That happens all the time, and you have like this wilting flower fan looking thing, which is not good. Going into fall, again, furnace filter, replace your furnace filter. There's kind of a lot of debate out there. I've done a video lately. I think it's fair to go with a MERV rating, an MERV rating of 8. That seems to be the consensus, and kind of a happy medium between something that's not going to filter anything out but cause no restriction, and something that's going to filter everything out but cause a ton of restriction and possibly damage your furnace. MERV 8 is kind of right there in the middle, so probably the one you want to go with. In the fall, after the leaves drop, I try to get out there and clean those out before winter. Clean the leaves out of the gutters to make sure the water is going to be able to flow throughout fall, winter, and then going into early spring. I check weather stripping on my door. That's around your door, and then also the bottom seals on my exterior doors, the bottom seals on my garage door. Just anything where it's going to be a cold draft coming up in the winter. And then clean and service your furnace or boiler. Now, I'm all about DIY, obviously, but some of the best money spent could be getting a $65 service charge or a local HVAC company to come out and do a yearly service. They're going to clean the internals up, which can really avoid a failure at an inopportune time. So when your furnace is working aggressively, when it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit outside, it really sucks if that goes out at that time, right? So some of that preventative maintenance can save you some pain down the road. All right, and then the final group within seasonal in the winter time, again, you can guess the first one, right? That's going to be your furnace filter. In the wintertime, when my trees are dormant, that is when I want to go outside and prune and cut them back, depending on what I want to do with the landscaping. It's better to do that when they're dormant, opposed to spring or summer when they're growing. Clean your bathroom exhaust fan. Man, bathroom exhaust fans get no love. Those things get really dirty, build up with lint. Your fan starts squeaking because it just has all sorts of stuff caked onto it. Again, I have a video on that. Check down in the description and it'll give you more instruction. Tighten up the screws in your door hinges. Now, this can be where you go to tighten it and you notice your screws are stripped and almost all of them are just spinning. Again, look down in the description. You'll see number 9 2¼ inch screws is what I like to go with to really give you a lot more meat that you're screwing that into, and that's going to secure your hinges and hopefully ensure that your door stays aligned and your door latch doesn't start to get misaligned. Don't forget your refrigerator also needs some attention. So we usually push those back into a nook, and then they have some condenser coils that can have a lot of dust and buildup. Well, that starts to affect how they actually exchange heat. So you want to clean those off and make sure they don't have any buildup on the actual coils themselves. And then, believe it or not, in the winter is when you'd want to do a tune-up on your mower. So you want to avoid the rush in the spring where everyone wants to mow for the first time, but they haven't done anything to the mower forever. So that's where you're changing out your spark plug, you're changing the oil, you're sharpening your blade, you're cleaning or replacing your air filter, and you're just getting your mower ready for a whole nother season of hopefully maintenance-free operation. And now the last bucket, which is yearly. And again, I'll tell you where to get this one pager so you guys can download it for your own reference. And also any feedback. If there's other things you guys are doing out there and I did not include it, give me feedback. I will improve this over time. In that same page that you'll get to download it off of, that will have the most updated version as I learn over time, as I get good feedback and I put new items in that checklist. One thing to note, I have a little item here that says items not covered, which might need maintenance depending on your home and equipment. water softener, sprinkler systems, pools, hot tubs, septic systems, wells. So if you live out in the country, you have a septic system and well, you have a few more items that you need to be maintaining. So just understand I'm not really including any of those systems. All right, so yearly, first one up is making sure that your main water shutoff valve functions in your home. It's not a good situation where you spring a leak and you're scrambling to find the water shutoff just to find the water shutoff does not work and it does not shut off the water to your home. Now, if you have a ball valve, that's just going to be twisting that perpendicular to the actual pipe itself. And sometimes those could get stuck. So it is good to exercise them once in a while. Turn it off, go drain down the water at one of your faucets, maybe in the bathroom or the kitchen. Basically the faucet on the lowest level in your home, and just make sure the water stops. Now, if you have a globe valve or gate valve where you're doing a multi-turn to turn it off, sometimes those can start to leak over time. It's just good to know that you might need to address that. Maybe you need to get a plumber over, or again, you can check one of our many videos which show how to swap that out to a ball valve. Next one is inspecting your crawl space. So this is only if you have a crawl space. If you're on a concrete slab, does not pertain to you. If you have a basement, I'm assuming you're going down in the basement fairly regular just to make sure there's no standing water, you don't have a moisture issue, you don't have a leak or any other issue popping up. But crawl spaces, many people own homes with a crawl space and they don't go down there for years and years and years and years. And it is common in my area. You go down there and you find quite a few issues. The sump pump might be down there but not working, so you have standing water. You might have your ductwork actually off and just pumping hot or cold air in your crawl space, wasting a ton of money. So it's good yearly to take your flashlight down there, crawl around, and just make sure everything is in working order. If you have a fireplace or chimney, this is good time to get on a yearly cycle of yourself maintaining that, or again, calling in a professional and just get on their yearly calendar for them to come out, do a service check, which is usually fairly affordable, and make sure you don't have any issues that can cause bigger problems down the road. You want to flush the sediment out of your water heater. So you'll see a little drain valve at the bottom of your water heater. You'll want to hook up a hose and drain that down. But don't forget, you need to turn off the water coming in, and you need to actually break open the lines so that it doesn't pull a suction. If it pulls a suction, it's not going to really drain anything out. You're not going to get much sediment out. So again, videos out there. I don't have one on my channel, but there's many out there on how to drain sediment out of your water heater. That type of item is really those type of items that you're trying to extend the serviceable life of the main equipment and some of the main components of your house. This will save you money over time and just save you headaches of having failures of some of the main systems. You want to test the sump pump in your basement or crawl space. Now, if you're like me, my sump pump runs quite a bit, so I don't need to really test it. That thing's running all the time. But if you're in an area where the water table is maybe a little bit lower, it doesn't run that often until you get a major rain, you can go down with a 5-gallon bucket and fill up the pit. So then the float goes up, it trips, the sump pump actually pumps it out, your gate valve works so water doesn't come back in. You just exercise the system and make sure everything is functioning when you don't need it, right? It's good to test these things when you don't need it, opposed to when you get 3 inches of rain over a 24-hour period. Home perimeter walk. So going outside your home, looking at your foundation base, looking for any cracks, looking for any issues. Maybe your downspouts are off. So you have water being dumped at the base of your foundation, which is not ideal. Making sure the gas line coming into your home, the cable, the coax cable coming into your home, making sure those are all sealed. I usually seal large holes with spray foam and let it expand out. And then smaller holes, I'm just using like a clear silicone to seal that off. And then lastly, fire extinguisher. Make sure you have one. Make sure you know where it's at and it's in a good location. And make sure that that pressure gauge is in the operable range. Make sure it's pressurized and it's not dropped all the way to zero. So that is the complete checklist. That's going to get you in a good position, and you are going to be in the top 5% of homeowners if you're going through and doing these items and just staying ahead of the game. Now, if you want this one pager so you can print it out, Down below the video is the description. Usually you got to expand that out, and it has links to different products I talk about, links to different videos I talked about, and it also will have a link to everydayhomerepairs.com, which is our website, and the specific article that has this checklist. It's just a download link off Google Drive. No email required, no tricks, no funny business. If that's something that's useful to you, you can download it and have it for future reference. Just remember, mark that page because that will improve over time. So you might want to jump back in a year and just get version 2.0 or 3.0 as it does improve and includes a few more things over time or just makes small edits. Now, if you go to your furnace and you're swapping out that filter and you have an opening, you have the slot that has nothing covering it, that should not be like that. So check out this video right here and I'll show you an easy product that's going to help you fix that with zero tools and very little time. So thanks for joining me on this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.